Hey there, welcome to the garage. My name is Buck. I have Carson across from me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice. We've known each other for years, folks.
Yeah, you're right.
And I know what you're probably thinking. Where the heck is Squib? And a lot of people don't know, Carson, that I actually moved states. Why, I've never said, and I probably won't. But it gave me a good opportunity to look for some new co-hosts. I knew you were in the area, and so I figured, hey, he's a gun guy. Let's get him on the podcast.
Oh yeah, it's been years, man.
A lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of kept up enough to know you're a gun guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give you, before we get into our episode, people, which is going to be applications for AR-15s, I'm going to spoil it right there. I'm going to give Carson a little opportunity to kind of introduce himself and tell you kind of his qualifications, what he's done in the gun world, what he likes to do, and I'll just hand it over to him and give him the next, however long, and let you talk.
Well, hello. Uh, I guess I don't have any like formal qualifications, but
It's
I,
okay, neither do I.
yeah, I guess a lot of people don't. After all, I
No,
mean, Brandon Herrera just started building AKs in his garage, and look where he is
and
now.
now he's running for a public office.
Yeah. So, well, in that same vein, I've been a home machinist. I own a Grizzly knee mill and an 8-inch by 36-inch lathe. I thread my own barrels. I do all sorts of stuff. I finish receivers. So I've done 1911 kits, all sorts of stuff. I've built, uh, give or take, 30 AR-15s, all from parts, from 80% receivers from scratch, even. Um, all sorts of stuff. I'm starting to get to the point where I can cast my own aluminum to
What?
actually make my own like receiver billets.
Really?
So that's what I ultimately is the vision
That's
that
the
I have.
goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the goal. I guess. That's insane.
Oh yeah. So I'm looking at induction furnaces and stuff like that to uh, melt um, melt the actual aluminum in, but
Hmm.
I don't want to go with propane or anything like that because
Right.
sourcing it like in a the fan situation is kind of hard. We have a solar panel set up on our house, so eventually you could store enough energy to power an induction furnace long enough
Ah,
to
yeah, but
to
that's
melt aluminum
well, what
in
kind of
theory.
headache is that?
It's a lot, actually.
Huh.
It's quite a big investment. The amount of energy you need to store is insane.
So let
So
me ask you as sort of a personality test then. Out of the many AR-15s you've built, what cartridge is the favorite that you've chambered in?
that I've chambered in?
Hmm.
Oh
That you've
man.
used, you've built, whatever you want to use.
So my dad and I have been developing our own Wildcat cartridge.
Which is
So we call it the 223 loadout, and it's designed for reloading. So we've designed this cartridge in mind with like the reloading process. So a lot of people, the process of case lube and then removing the case lube, washing the cartridges, that stuff takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. The case lube itself can also, if you don't fully wash the cases out, it can interfere with powder charge,
yep.
and you can get like discrepancies with shot to shot velocities due to just not having all the case lube out of like the primer pocket or anything like that. The
Hmm.
cases aren't fully dried, etc. It takes time to make sure all the steps are
Right.
completed. So we designed a case that can be reloaded without the use of case lube using the carbide dies for like 38 special, like like those the carbide donuts that like Lee presses have.
Yeah.
So you can resize everything using carbide without any case lube, and it works really well.
So would that be like almost like a body die in
Yeah.
that sense?
Uh-huh.
If you're using anything 38 special, my thought is you're shaping the base and the web
Uh-huh.
and then head of the web.
Yeah.
So then is there a shoulder for you to size?
Yes. So
Okay.
it takes like a couple extra stages to get the
Okay.
full resizing process done. But it uses like that same like yeah, can't remember which exact model of die it is. I think it's I want to say it's Lee.
Hmm.
So there's like the expander ball, and then there's like the donuts that you can stack inside the actual die itself.
Hmm.
And you can buy different donuts for like different size cartridges and
Right.
different like resizing processes if you want an extra thousandth or minus a thousandth, or if
Sure.
they wear out, you can replace them.
Yeah.
So we developed this case loadout, and that's super nice. It's got it comparable to like a 223 Valkyrie, with case capacity.
Hmm.
So it's got a little bit more case capacity, but a 223 Valkyrie is, or 224 Valkyrie, excuse me. Um, the shoulder on it's so sharp that you can't reload it without any case lube. You have to have case lube; they'll stick.
It also sucks to reload.
Yeah,
Having reloaded it,
yeah,
it's
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. So we got this loadout cartridge that we're in the process of like filing a patent for and getting trademarked.
really
Yes. So
congratulations.
we're gonna try to get a website going for that and like patent the reloading process almost so we can sell our own die sets
Right.
and then also our own presses eventually.
So, and that reminds me of a certain story. Have you ever heard of the 19 Badger
Huh.
or the 19 by
I
223?
think I've seen them in some books, but I've never
Also,
looked at
the
them.
19 Calhoun. Those are so James Calhoun
Hmm.
made three 19 caliber options, and he rebarrels CZ 457s, I want to say,
Huh?
with CZ bolt rifles, and he
Yeah,
rechambers them to 19 Badger, 19 by 223, whatever you want.
that's
And
hilarious. That's a DayZ rifle.
it's nuts. Well, and they're supposed to be great performers. I was lucky enough to run into one at a Cabela's in Omaha,
Hmm.
and I think I bought a 19 Calhoun and a CZ 457. I could be messing up that model number, but it was a crazy attractive rifle.
Hmm.
So maybe your guys' operations will get to that point.
Hmm.
I mean, who knows?
The biggest issue that we have with the 223 loadout and the AR-15 is feeding issues.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't like the neck geometry that we have right now. So
I wonder, is that because of the barrel extension
yeah,
feed ramp?
yeah. So we
And
might
the
have to.
geometry of that versus,
Mhm.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, we've experimented like with the M4 versus AR feed ramp styles,
Hmm.
like the two different kinds,
Yeah.
and nothing,
No,
like no dice either
still,
way.
still bad.
Yeah, so I've looked at like that's kind of like where we've left the project off is like dremeling out and polishing our
Yeah.
own feed ramps.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. Actually, have you ever heard of Excalibur barrels?
I've heard of cartridges that have like 300 Excalibur. I've heard of that before, but I've never heard of a barrel company called Excalibur.
There's this custom barrel company out in Montana. I bought an AR barrel from them, and
Yeah.
it shoots like .33 MOA.
Really?
It's it's insane. It is insane how good it shoots. It's a 1 and 6.5 inch twist.
Yeah.
It's amazing. 223 Wild Chamber. Dude,
Huh.
it is fantastic.
What
I don't think I'll ever buy another brand of barrel ever again.
what grain bullet are you sending out of that?
I was shooting, I think the group that I shot. Here, let me show you.
Because 1 and 6.5, you'd have to, I mean, at that point, load up some 77 grains and go to town,
Yeah.
you know,
So here's the group that I shot.
which is tiny for those that can't see because we are an audio only podcast.
Yeah. So it's like very small. That was 100
That's 10
yards.
shots?
That's 10
That's
shots.
10 shots.
They're
Oh my
all
God.
touching one another. They're all through the same hole. And that target is, I think, 1 inch or 2 inches across, excuse me.
Well, and
So that's quarter-inch
for
stadia.
those that can't see, this looks like an average group, an average 3-shot group
Mhm.
from like a 308. And you're going down to a 22 caliber and you're increasing it to 10 shots and it looks the same.
Yeah.
So that is crazy.
5R rifle barrel. I just want to shout them out because they're such a good. I don't get,
Yeah.
I'm just a regular guy.
We
They're
we don't get
the
sponsorships,
barrel
folks.
the best barrel I've ever owned.
We have subscribers in the double digits. We don't have sponsors. So any company we shout out is because of our own volition and their own performance in personal users' hands,
Mhm.
which is actually why a big reason why I started this podcast too, is to inform kind of the lesser known companies that do a really, really good job at what they do
Mhm.
and get it away from, large corporations or big companies that sometimes might slip on QC a little more than they should.
Mhm.
So, with that in mind, I think that's a perfect segue to get into our episode. Uh, only took 10 minutes. That's okay. Uh, Carson here is going to be kind of our new co-host for the time being. I think we are going to introduce some more co-hosts as well, just to come help him out because he is a college student. So getting him is a little tricky. I got to work with the girlfriend and college, so I got to barter my way for him to get into the studio. But AR-15 applications. Before I give you my side, Carson, what kind of things are I mean, I know you've built so much, and you're milling, and you're being a machinist, and you're even wildcatting. But what are some of the applications that you're using these guns for?
So for me, I grew up on a farm,
Yeah.
and we actually had the power company condemned some of our land to build a power line. So, uh, you know, cost benefit analysis, they stole our land, but they also built us a really sick 700-yard shooting
A
range.
runway.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, on our land, we have about 680 yards of usable range
Wow.
to shoot with.
Which in Missouri is a lot.
Yeah. So that's been really nice. So that's like diagonally across the entire like shape of our land.
Hmm.
And you hunt on that. So I shoot deer out, 400 yards all day
Yeah.
with the guns that I have. And that's kind of what I build around. So DMR style AR-15s
Oh, cool.
was most of what I have. I'm actually planning my first like home defense AR-15 build.
Me too.
Mm,
And I was showing Carson my AR-15, which I know our viewers have seen because I've kind of posted on social media a lot. But DMR has kind of been the mentality with me as well.
mhm,
I've also lived out in Nebraska until now, where, you know, average range is, 600, 700 if you want to shoot some longer distance. And
mhm,
then if you want to shoot prairie dog towns, 400, 500, even six. I've shot prairie dogs at 600 yards with 223, and
mhm.
it is a challenge, but you build the rifle around the application.
Yeah.
So um, I just gave it away. That my big application is varmint hunting.
Mhm,
So coyotes, which I want to get some coyote hunting in the next month or two while
mhm.
it's cold and while they have thick hides.
Dude, yeah.
But in Nebraska, it was prairie dogs, and then I did want to try stretching out that 223 as far as I could. I only got prairie dogs at 600 yards. I haven't hit steel with it yet,
Mhm.
which is kind of ironic because usually I hit steel and then I hit animals at 500, 600 yards. Not that I can condone that, but um, that's a lot of my application. And
Mhm,
for me, it's always been how far can I go.
mhm,
So I know we're talking about the AR-15, but also the LR-308, which
mhm,
is like AR-10, but technically not. There's a whole bunch of names for it. It sucks.
mhm.
Uh, if you ever get into LR-308s, make sure you know AR-15s like the back of your hand
Yeah.
because it's not as simple, it's not as easy, which it was.
What do you have difficulties with that? Like,
Different manufacturers and different companies make the different specs.
DPMS format versus
Well,
what are you talking about?
it's not as much receiver format. So for the viewers that are or the listeners, and you can have in an AR-10 you can have a traditional Armalite AR-10 lower, which has a different upper and lower compatibility than an LR-308 would. And I'm not even gonna go into trying to explain that. But point is, an LR-308 upper can't fit on an AR-10 lower. And LR308 lower can't fit on an AR-10 upper. You can't do it. But
Mhm,
once you get the receivers matched, even if you do that, when I was building my LR308 that I've hit 600 yards on so far, it was the BCG was out of spec. It was slightly larger than the receiver, and so I had to, uh,
buy thousands of dollars worth of gauges and figure out what's going on.
I'm a little bit more hillbilly than that.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I had a Dremel and a Dream,
Oh yeah.
and that's what I built that on.
A Dremel and a dream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's what's that? School of the American Rifle? Is that what that one guy does? Gauge
yeah.
everything.
Oh my god.
Ask questions later.
There's our first mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, the BCG was too large. And then it was the trigger group didn't fit in the lower as well as it should have. And then it was the A2 buffer style. I have an A2 fixed stock on there, and it didn't interact well with the BCG either.
Uh,
And one thing after another, and so you hit enough hurdles. Granted, if you don't know AR-15s like the back of your hand, you don't know what you're messing with.
really?
Um, and so you might not understand why is this part not fitting.
Hmm.
And so I would advise, don't get into LR 308s, at least building,
Hmm.
until you know that AR-15 really well.
Hmm. Personally, like uh, between me and my dad, we've actually built two AR-10s and 243.
Really?
Yeah. So we had a Saturn barrel that we had some head spacing issues.
I love that.
Oh man, and they didn't want to honor any of the warranties. So anyway,
Wow.
Saturn barrels. I am very frustrated with you.
I told him he can't curse before the
Yeah.
podcast episode. I can already tell he's struggling.
Yes. Yes, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about Saturn barrels. And I checked it with the no-go gauge, go gauge,
Mhm.
all that stuff.
And it all went.
It all went. Everything, like by a significant margin
Yeah,
too. Like, and
yeah.
I'm a machinist. Like, I know
Yeah,
what.
6,000s.
Yeah.
There's a gap and there's a gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad. And apparently their gauges are just bad. Or maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it is like an LR30. I don't know.
Well, but that's the thing is, every time I ordered a part for that gun, because I built it over the
Hmm.
course of probably 4 months,
Yeah.
every part I ordered, I was sweating because in my head, I'm like, I'm rolling the dice, and I've always been balling on a budget.
Hmm.
And so it's like I'm rolling the dice on a $180 bolt carrier group because I want a nickel boron.
Hmm.
And because like I don't know if it'll fit. We'll find out when it gets here in a week.
Uh,
And then it's like bought a barrel and a gas system. And looking back, I should have gotten an adjustable gas block,
hmm.
but it's the whole thing is I didn't know, so I just got a regular gas block.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. My LR 308 overgassed to no end.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I've tried a few adjustable gas blocks and just have not liked them. SLS, is that the brand? I want to say I bought
I've
like a
never
$180
Yeah,
gas block.
I've never and that's why I've never purchased an adjustable gas block. Is to me, a gas box should cost like $50,
Uh-huh. I
which
bought I was getting into like 3 gun and stuff like that.
hmm
So I was looking at adjustable gas blocks, to run like the
sure,
lightest possible loading I can do, so it minimizes recoil.
yeah,
And I was looking at gas blocks and I bought this really expensive one. This was back in 2018, so it's
hmm
been 6 years
some
ago.
time.
Yeah. And that thing freaking carbon locks so bad. Like
Really,
it's a fixed gas block now because I haven't been able to get
you can't
spark in
get
it.
it off.
I've tried everything.
Oh
I've
my,
tried every solvent that I own, every solvent I can think of. I've tried like the ultrasonic cleaners with all sorts of different solvents. I've
LCR,
Yeah, everything, like
really?
everything.
Whew.
I can't get it uncarbon locked, so it's a fixed gas block.
It's a fixed gas. Gosh.
Oh, it's a $200 fixed gas block is what it is. And it's like the fancy titanium, like solid titanium,
Oh
whatever the
no,
yeah, it's one of those like Gucci 3 gun
yeah.
brands that like is in John Wick and Call of Duty and all that.
Oh god.
So I got that thinking like, oh, this is what all the guys are using. Like it's got to be great.
Gosh, and it's so difficult to do, but I try not to be the person that's like, oh, this is what everyone's promoting, and this is
Yeah,
what all the people are using. I
that's
better go get it.
that's what I bit into was
hmm
that Instagram promoter
And I think every
BS.
gun enthusiast learns that lesson at
Oh,
some point,
dude.
right?
Oh man, I got that. That's one part that I absolutely hate
Yeah.
that I bought. That I'm really burnt about that.
So in terms of AR-15s, when we're building these things, and the reason this topic got brought up, and I was telling this to Carson before we started recording, but you always hear politicians and people who shouldn't be saying anything about guns, and you hear them talk about, well, no one needs an AR-15. And instantly in my head, I think, well, let me tell you why you need an AR-15. Because the applications are there. When you look at a semi automatic platform versus a bolt action, a break open, a single shot, or whatever you call it, anything that's not a semi automatic, there is still a reason why you should at least consider buying, building, whatever you want to call it, an AR-15. And so kind of some of the reasons we have blocked out here. We have CQB and home protection, which I put at the top because I've had AR-15 uppers rolling through my head for the past week.
Mm,
And so That's the top of the list. Competition. I've never been a really big competitor. I know a lot of people have, and I think you mentioned you were getting into three gun at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but personally, never been there just because I still have a lot to work on as a shooter, and I'll
Mhm.
admit that. Game hunting, which we've talked about, varmint hunting, which is I'll put separately because with AR-15s, you do have to consider cartridges when you're talking about, am I going to take this deer hunting? In Nebraska, especially when you have antelope, you have muleys, you have whitetails, you have different types of game. Whereas here in Missouri, it's like, okay, I have
Written.
whitetail deer.
Yeah,
That's
turkey, deer,
yeah,
coyotes.
and that's it. And so like for a cartridge like 6 ARC, I'll bring up,
Mhm.
would
Good
be
cartridge. Good cartridge.
nuts for
I
Missouri.
I do like those ARC series cartridges. There's a six. I think someone makes a seven ARC now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At least there's like loading for it, you
Well,
know.
and because they just released the SAME specs for 22 ARC,
Hmm.
which I'm excited for because 224 Valkyrie has been giving me a headache so much. That Hornet, I knew Hornet when they released 22 ARC. It's so
Hmm.
they can sweep the 224 Valkyrie off the face of the earth
Hmm.
because Federal has had zero luck releasing, marketing, and backing up any of the cartridges they've released in the past 20 years.
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah,
say it.
it's not good.
No, no. I
What's
mean,
the Fury cartridge that just came out?
277 Fury,
Yeah.
and that's Sig Sauer.
Yeah.
Uh, which, yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Uh,
I'll be interested to see because there's ammo for it.
mm,
It's crazy.
that's fair. It is the new military standard, right? Or whatever.
It is technically, I put in big quotation marks. It is, but like I've never seen a gun. I haven't seen a gun. I know McGowan is making barrels chambered in it. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like that's all I've heard.
Yeah.
So like you have no guns rolling out chambered in this cartridge, but they have three different loadings coming out, and part of one of the loadings is in the hybrid case.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not loaded to military snuff, so I don't know why anyone would ever buy that because you can't reload it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not loaded to military spec, which means it's not loaded to that insane 80,000 psi, which
Mm-hmm.
is the reason why 277 Fury is supposed to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why would you ever buy that? And then they have a hunting load and an FMJ load.
Mm-hmm.
So it's well rounded, and it's like Midway has it online,
Yeah.
and then my Murdochs and Scottsbluff had it. So it's like that's weird for Panhandle of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere to have it, but also the largest retailer in the country to also have it.
Mm-hmm. But
So
then the application is defunct
yeah,
because you
what
can't
what are you
load
gonna
it
do
to
with it?
yeah, you can't load it to 80,000. It's not a precision. It's not like you're going to be shooting that in like PRC probably.
Well, why not?
I mean, you
Well, and that's the other thing is 277 bullet.
yeah,
Who's done it with
who
that
makes a
diameter?
burger 70 grain like VLD for
It'll
the
be yeah.
277,
So those
you know?
those loadings are I think they're 150 grains.
Uh,
And that's fine, but like, why are you shooting that over 7 RSOM
mhm,
or 7 PRC? And granted, those aren't really competition cartridges, but like, there's not a lot of application for a 277 bullet in something like PRS.
mhm.
And even hunting, it's like, well, 270 Winchester's been out for a long time, and if you want to talk about FUDs who don't want to adopt a cartridge, that's
Mm.
you're not going to convince them to buy the 277 Fury.
Dude, yeah, I just met actually my girlfriend's brother-in-law. He's like, "Man, I need to get me a 270." I'm like, "Why do you need a 270? Why don't you
Oh
get something
no.
like easier to find, cheaper to shoot at least a 243. Like
Yeah,
the ammo's a little bit more available for a 243, at least in my opinion. Uh, wherever I go, I can always find 243 at least, so it
yeah,
seems. So that's why I built an AR-10 and 243
sure.
is for that reason. Um, he wants a 270. He's like, well, my dad shot a 270. My grandfather shot a 270.
I
Why
I,
why change?
I inherited a 270, and
Yeah.
it's not only that it's a 270, it's also the rifles that are being handed down in inheritance. And I've received a 270 in inheritance. It was a Ruger M77
Hmm.
with a Leopold 3-9 on top,
Hmm. My uncle has the same
and
M77.
it'll shoot circles around a Savage Axis.
Hmm.
Like it's not just what cartridge these rifles are chambered in. It's such the and finish on these rifles,
Mm,
we're in an age where you couldn't mass produce guns as much as you can now.
mm.
Um, but that's aside the point. We're gonna get off topic, folks. We're bad at that, and I've always been. Carson, I've known him, and we all knew what we were getting into. But um, some of the other applications we're looking at here, my big one is targets, steel, clinking, shooting, just shooting at stuff that's not alive, being able to miss and feel comfortable about it.
Mm,
Um, and for 223, 5.56 and an AR-15, that's been a godsend,
mm.
being able to do that. Uh, and 223, going back to its roots, because pop quiz, what is the parent cartridge for the 223?
If you asked me that about
Awkward
4 years
silence.
ago, I'd
You would have
answer
known.
for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was when I was doing most of
Yeah.
the hard load
I'm pretty
development.
sure it's 222 Remington. It's either that or 221 Fireball, but I don't think it's the
It's not
Fireball.
22-250, is it?
No. The
It
22
was,
250 is a 308 base case.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, bench rest is where I was getting at
Uh,
there, because it is the 222 Remington. Okay, I was right. I
Interesting.
psyched myself out there. But the 222 Remington and the 222 Remington Magnum, which is a different case, don't see how anyone could get confused there.
Mm,
But both were very heavy in the bench rest scene in the late 1900s.
mm,
And bench rest was a very popular sport in that time. And so there was a lot of pendulum swinging between what cartridge was the best. You had cartridges like 6 PPC, 6 and 7 millimeter bench rest, Remington bench rest. I have some brass for 7BR,
mm,
and that was really popular in silhouette pistols. But you also have 222 Rem Mag, 222 Remington, and so these smaller cartridges that are getting bigger and better. And then the military steps in and says, "Hey, we want one for the military," and then the 223 comes out, and the AR-15. So I still think there is some bench rest element there. It's not maybe not in the modern times when now PRS and F class is getting out to 600 to 1,000 yards. It
mm.
might not be as consistent as a lot of other cases. Let's face it. 6 arc,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great cartridge.
it is.
It actually is a
It's high
nice,
stepping.
well designed.
Yeah,
I wish. So between me and my dad's to the point where he's like, man, I already got, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in reloading equipment. I don't want to
yeah,
invest in the space and the other, like, you gotta buy a gun first,
yep,
then you gotta buy brass,
yep,
then you gotta do like all the load, but you gotta buy another set of bullets. Well, 6 millimeter, we have 243 stuff, so
sure.
we'll be fine. But then dies, you
Well,
know.
and like the biggest, so, and this will stay on the topic of ARs at least, but the 8.6 blackout.
Uh,
I got at auction like 3 or 400 338 diameter bullets because I
mm,
shoot for the Lapua. I
mm,
load for the Lapua. So I'm like, I have hundreds of bullets that would conveniently fit 8.6 blackout cases.
uh,
And it's a 6.5 Creedmoor based case. So I can expand 6.5 Creedmoor to 8.6 blackout.
mm.
And I'm like, man, if I get dies, I already have the cases I can form. I have the bullets. I have the powder and the primers.
You gotta get one of those bolt action AR uppers. You ever seen those?
I have, but
Make it like a little shorty
though, yeah, but like,
SBR with a suppressor, dude.
I don't have it. I don't have, man, I don't have enough. I don't have enough time or money for an SBR.
See, 8.6 blackout would be perfect for that,
It
though.
would, and that's my issue. Is well, and so let's take this into example. So if you're building an AR-15 for whatever application you're building it around, which is what I would suggest, figure out what your application is first, 'cause then you can build your AR-15 to whatever you want it to be. And in this case, we are still talking about AR-10s and LR-308s. It's just a bigger receiver set. It's just AR-15, hit and enhance a little bit, gets bigger. It's AR-10. And
Mm.
for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to say AR-10 because LR-308 is exhausting. Uh, like, I totally lost my train of thought. 8.6 blackout, though.
Mm.
Um, my so Midway has that barrel
Yeah.
in 8, 12, and 16 inches.
Mm.
I would love a 12-inch barrel.
8-inch barrel? 8-inch suppressor.
No,
And
no. Yeah. That is not how this works, sir. Hidden well. But like, if I my issue is if I get an 8 or 12, I get what I want, which in reality is a pistol length gas system. If I
Mhm,
go to a 16-inch, this is the dumb part. I go to a carbine length gas system.
mhm,
And at that point, I don't like my odds of developing subsonic rounds with and maybe it's six one way, half a dozen the other, whatever. But in
mhm.
my mind, I would feel so much more comfortable having a 16-inch barrel with pistol gas system. I want that stuff to burn fast. I want that powder to burn fast.
Yeah, see, what I've never understood is, I guess maybe it's my dad telling me, like, my dad doesn't want to load for a 6 arc because it's just more,
Hmm.
you gotta have that much more
Yeah,
space. Whenever you're doing load development, you
yeah.
have like a whole shelf full of ammo with different micro increments
Oh
of
yeah.
grains of
Hmm.
powder and yada yada, this, that, and the other. 8.6 blackout's the same amount of space.
Yeah.
It's just another cartridge.
Right.
What I'm thinking, what I've wanted to do is I wanted to build a bolt action 357 SIG because you can load 9 millimeter bullets in 357 SIG and you can make 357 SIG from
From
40
40.
Smith and Wesson.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do is a bolt action 357 SIG
He's so tiny.
or even like an AR-15 in 357 SIG with a
Little
arc
stick mag.
barrel. Yeah, stick mag, like it looks like an MPX.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
And see, I would want to do that, but with 7.62 toke
Mhm,
and just have like my own little puppisha. I can
mhm.
close my eyes and shoot it, and it'll feel like a puppisha because I
Uh-huh,
know it'll be 7.62 toke. But well, that's the nice thing about AR-15s. And the application is there's so much you can do around them. Um, like you mentioned, for those California people, shout out.
mhm.
If you want to bolt action your AR-15, you can buy the upper. And I don't know the
Or
legalities
just take
about.
the gas plug off.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and then weld the hole shut
Mhm.
in the
You wouldn't even
barrel.
need to do that really.
No,
Yeah, you can just let it vent free and it'll be fine. I've done it before.
screw it.
Yeah, I've tried it.
But like, I don't know the legality about buying lowers over there. But like, you can buy an upper for whatever your state compliance is, which is what I like. You can probably buy a lower or lower accessories to make your lower compliant as well. And then the chamberings are nuts. We were talking. I mean, we talked about it all episode. I know, but like AR-10, you're talking about 8.6 blackout 243. I know some companies are making uppers in 22 250. 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor. Those two are
7
the
millimeter.
biggest.
I've seen
708.
I think 708 and then 7 millimeter mag.
What?
Yeah, I think what's Nemo? They make a 7 millimeter. Yeah,
Oh, well, I think that's an even bigger frame. I think that's a frame above the AR-10
maybe
too,
so.
because I think they did one in 300 mag too,
Hmm.
which no thanks. But because I think that gun's also like 6 pounds.
Yeah, it's
It's
also like six
it's
thousand dollars.
yeah, yeah.
I want one so bad.
Not that I would ever be able to afford it, but yeah. Um, But and then you move down to the AR-15, and they're still coming out with cartridges for the sole purpose of fitting performance into an AR-15 package. And a lot of people dog on it because it's like, why do we have all these new cartridges coming out? And it's a lot of FUDs and it's a lot of complainers.
Hmm.
Why do we need something that's not the 30-06 or the 270? Because those two cartridges seem to be the only thing they talk about. And it's because millions of AR-15s get sold every year. Millions with a capital M, like
That's
multiple millions.
that's not even including the ones that are built.
Yeah,
Like I've built
that are
receivers that
yeah.
that's just the recorded ones that are essentially on a registry.
Those are the ones they know about.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're gonna just gain a new listener. It's the ATF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but like,
It's like that
come
meme where it's the ATF like peeking over the
peeking
brick
over the
wall.
yeah. But like companies need to go after what their shooters are shooting, and in this case, they need to develop cartridges that are being shot out of AR-15s. And so, in my mind, if I'm a company like Hornady, it's like, okay, well, 6 ARC, we've put out a very ballistically efficient and overall well-rounded cartridge from all points of view. Let's go through bullet diameters and be like, what else can we put this in? Which I don't know if you know about the lineage of the six arc, but it's 6.5 Grendel is in the same family, same base diameter. And so that's also the same case as the 7.62 by 39, the 5.45 by 39, 220 Russian. It's all the same, cartridge family tree.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, well, they took the 6.5 Grendel case and they're like, what else can we do with it? Maybe they noticed that like the six arc, or what wasn't the six arc yet, but like a 6 millimeter variant wasn't, or it was extremely popular in the Wildcat world. And they're like, well, let's just run with that. So what people are shooting, and we can make it fit in standard AR mags, and we can make, we can get people to make AR barrels in it,
Mhm.
and it performs really well. So it's like, why are people coming out with all these cartridges? Well, they want it to fit the application, and the application demands the rifle, and a lot of times that's an AR-15.
I mean, just alone. Well, I guess another one of my projects is in the 3D printing scene.
Another one, yeah,
Yeah, another
another
one of my,
another one.
and that's just developing a like a dedicated 22 upper and lower 3D printed for
Hmm.
the AR-15. So you use like the CMMG 22 conversion kit,
Yep,
plug and play, classic 3D print receiver,
right.
good to go. 3D print mags, everything to use standard like anti-tilt followers and stuff like that. For like,
Body hardware for almost nothing.
I think what I'm yeah. So what I'm thinking about is bending your own springs and then also using like a rip off of the CZ22 what's it called? The
You're thinking,
Scorpion. The Scorpion.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they make a 22 Scorpion.
Huh.
At least I think. Maybe I've spent
Everyone
so
makes a
long on the
22
internet that
a 22 version of any gun,
yeah.
especially with a Scorpion when it's been in video games.
Mm.
But everyone's built a 22 version of a Scorpion,
Anyway,
or someone has.
yeah, in the 3D printing world, the AWCY, Are We Cool Yet? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Circle of Creators has made a 3D printed Scorpion in
Yeah.
22 LR that you can make yourself. And then I'm ripping off their magazines and putting that into an AR lower. And I'm actually remaking, I don't know if you've heard of Hoffman Tactical.
No clue.
He's big in the 3D printing community for making a very well-made AR-15 3D printed handguard, upper, lower, and stock. Whole thing's 3D printed except for the metal parts. So bolt, barrel, your buffer spring,
Yep.
obviously,
Yep.
gas system, all that's still metal. Um, but no one's made a really good like 3D printed 22,
Mm-hmm.
at least in my opinion. Semi-auto one. There's there's actually a really cool Uzi that you can 3D print for 22.
None of this for sale, by
Yeah, no,
none of this is for
I've never
sale.
printed any of this ever. No.
It's in a boating
Yeah,
accident. It's at the
yeah.
bottom of a lake.
Not even that. I don't own a boat, so it just doesn't exist. But there's a lot of cool stuff out there. But anyway, I digress.
It's on the internet
22,
forever.
yeah, 22 LR target shooting training, all the way up to what was it, 7 millimeter, 300 Win Mag
Mhm.
is what you can get an AR print rifle in,
That is nuts.
and you can get them. You can buy a 2-inch barrel for an AR-15, all the way out to like I've seen like 38-inch barrels
What?
for like some weird bench rest
Huh.
dudes shooting like AR pattern stuff for like bench rest shooting,
Yeah.
like and velocity tests, like just doing random stuff with like high velocity rounds as well. So I've seen like insanely long AR barrels. You can get your pencil profile all the way up to your 1-inch full bull barrel.
Huh.
You can have a 20-pound barrel if you wanted on
Jesus.
an AR.
So let me ask you this then, because going back in the episode, you built a lot. What was your first AR-15?
Oh man, the first AR-15 I built.
And you built your first?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I have never bought an off-the-shelf AR. I've only built every AR I've ever
oh, come on, man.
had. Sorry, I'm not into the
I
cold.
totally get it.
Yeah.
Having seen the very ugly stock ARs that are out there,
Dude,
I've seen it.
DPMS and Colt are yeah.
My first air. Granted, I should clarify. Actually, my first AR-15 was an American Tactical
Mm-hmm.
and threw into blackout, brand new factory in the box.
Mm-hmm.
But American Tactical knew their stuff, and that was a nice AR.
Yeah.
That was not a DPMS.
Mm-hmm.
My second AR-15 was at auction, and that was a DPMS Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
A15 bare bones, like ugly as
Back
sin.
in the day, those were actually pretty good, but like they just looked ugly.
They looked terrible.
They looked terrible.
But I use that as my Franken gun, and I put new handguard, new gas block,
Mm-hmm.
new stock. I put sights on it that were worth something. New trigger, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then when COVID hit, I actually private sold it for a lot more than I paid for it, which
Mm-hmm.
is nice because I overpaid for it back in the day, so I got my
I
money
mean, it's
back
all the
up.
same with inflation, right? Like,
Eh,
probably better
I
to
try
do
not to think about it too much, you
it.
know,
Yeah,
diminishing returns,
yeah,
something like that.
for sure.
But those are my first ARs. I sold that 300 blackout too. I kind
Hmm.
of regret it.
Why?
I want a 300 blackout rifle.
Hmm.
As I've matured as a cartridge fella, I think I am starting to realize, okay, it did suck that I sold this 300 blackout, but now it gives me the opportunity to get a bolt action in 300 blackout,
Hmm.
which I think is probably the better move for me anyways, because I want to run supers and I want to run subsonics. So really quiet and also really fast bullets. Really fast is relative, but whatever.
Hmm.
And like I told you, and I told our listeners, I've never bought an adjustable gas block for an AR-15, which
Hmm.
you would definitely need if you shot supers and subs out of an AR-15 chambered in third to blackout.
Hmm.
So you buy a Ruger American, for example, that takes AR-15 mags already, and it has a threaded barrel
Hmm.
for that lovely suppressor that I'm still going to kick around.
Hmm.
And you don't have to mess with gas, and they shoot both. And, I could load develop for both and
Hmm.
be pretty happy.
Yeah,
So that, I mean, and granted, once you look at the performance of 300 Blackout and then you look at literally anything else, it's like, man, why?
yeah.
But I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think it's perfect for Missouri, actually, because if you go supersonic, you can kind of match up through a 30-30 Winchester,
Hmm.
ballistic wise. And
Yeah.
if you go subs, I think the fascinating thing about subsonics is you look at the velocity retention
Hmm.
downrange, and it is stupid.
Specifically for which cartridge?
300,
5.56,
300
300
blackout,
blackout.
yeah, subsonic downrange,
Hmm.
and it's like it starts at maybe it starts at 10,050 feet per second subsonic,
Hmm.
and at 300 yards, granted, it drops like a rock,
Hmm.
straight down,
Oh yeah.
but you've lost maybe 10 feet per second,
May
maybe.
as well put a crossbow scope on the
Yeah,
dang thing.
but if you want to talk about velocity retention, I find that fascinating.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you lose almost nothing, and you're 100 yards down the range. So, I mean, if you can account for drop in wind, which I think is something that's so underappreciated nowadays when you have people going to 6.5 Creedmoor 6 arc and they're talking about, okay, I want as little drop and as little drift as I want. And I don't like that because it's like, well, how are you going to progress as a shooter if you're not accounting for drop or you're not accounting for drift and like you're not learning like it's not like the cartridges are too good, but it's almost like the cartridges are too good, Carson.
Ah, yeah.
Did that make any sense?
I
No,
man, for some reason I've just never been on the 300 blackout train.
no,
No,
never been.
for me personally, no, because I always saw like, man, if you're gonna load a subsonic 30 cal cartridge, you may as well buy a cheaper 9 millimeter like bullet and just shoot 9 millimeter. The if you
I don't know about
actually
that.
if you chart the ballistics like in like
Yeah,
RCBS like the the software, the loading software,
yeah.
you can get some 9
Ballistic
millimeter
calculator.
loadings that are fairly close to a 30 cal.
A 30 cal or a 300 blackout?
300 blackout,
Okay.
excuse me.
So then let me, because here's my issue with that is the shape of a 9 millimeter is like
Hmm.
throwing a can of ravioli at a target
Hmm.
versus a nice 220 grain Sierra Match King that's shaped like a rocket.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, with ballistics, you never cross the transonic region of flight. So
Right.
your long bullets aren't.
Don't need as
Yeah,
much of
you
the
don't need as
Lewis
long as
coefficient.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need as long as a bullet when you're
Hmm.
shooting subsonic.
Yeah.
So you're actually you're wasting money almost and time really because you could be loading 9 and shooting almost the same thing.
I think well, that's actually something I'm going to look into after this episode because that is interesting.
And that's why I like the 357 SIG ideas because you can
Hmm.
go pick up 40 Smith and Wesson range brass. There's no one on this planet that reloads 40
I
Smith
know.
and Wesson, I don't think.
It's like
So
6
there's
people.
tons of it,
Yeah.
and then you just size it down to .355, and then load your bullets.
So um, I think we're actually going to try topping off this episode because I have a feeling that this exit is going to take 15 minutes.
Okay,
What's your next build?
my next build.
What's your next build?
I never got to explain my first build.
30 AR-15s, by the way.
Yeah.
Is there a next build?
Yes.
Oh my
So
god.
all
First
my
build first. What's your
yes.
first build?
So my first build, I spent lots of money on. Um, I I really looked at what I did the most shooting at, where I did the most shooting at, and that was on my farm shooting 600 yards. So I didn't need like a 25 power scope or anything. I don't really do PRS or anything these days. I want to get into it, but that's another $20,000 of bolt action rifle I need to buy and equipment and range bags and scopes, and then the new Garmin, uh, what's that?
Chronograph.
Yeah, chronograph that just came out. That's $500 right off the top. Um,
It's okay.
anyway,
I'm looking at a magneto speed for like 370, so might as well
mhm,
pay an extra 130.
yeah. So that new Garmin chronograph is super cool, though. I digress. But I really picked the scope out first, and I went with the Trijicon AccuPower 1 to 8, and I got that one over other uh, LPVOs because it has the largest what's it called? The primary
Objective lens?
objective lens, yeah.
Yeah.
So it has a larger objective lens. It's like a 32 millimeter objective lens
Oh,
compared to like your 24 and
24,
22.
20. Yeah.
Because I shoot like low light whenever
So
it's right at like dusk.
was that a 34 millimeter tube?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
very nice.
it's
Very
big.
nice.
And I got a Leupold Mark AR. Like I love that cantilever scope mount. Actually, it's got like 7 bolts that just clamps onto the frame. It's super stiff.
We're going to have so many differing opinions on optics, my guy. So many.
This is by far the worst scope I feel like I've ever bought.
Really? It's the Trijicon?
Yes, I spent like almost 2 grand on it, and I
You have
hate it,
no idea how happy that makes me.
dude. Trijicon can
My so not to
put it
inter-
where the sun don't shine, dude.
not to interrupt your story. I'll quickly get to this and I'll let you finish up. But my first scope on my 3 Win Mag was a Simmons
Uh,
6 to 24 by 44,
uh,
$130 from Midway, and it had a mil dot reticle with mil turrets,
hmm
and that was what I was looking for.
Dude, this AccuPower scope,
Yeah.
it does not return to zero. So
Oh
it's
God.
like a point 0.1 mil click. It skips every other click.
I was about to ask, is it just not a point one click? Is it
Yeah.
inaccurate?
So the return to zero is geared so it doesn't like settle on every single click. It
So you
skips
have
every
no
other one.
idea.
No,
Essentially, you have no
no.
idea how many clicks.
Oh no. You know how many? So like whenever the turret cap is screwed down and
Right.
tight, you click it over and it's point 0.1 click each time. But when you remove the turret cap to return to zero, right? So
Hmm.
like you zero your rifle
Yeah.
and put it back, twist it back to zero. The gears that interact aren't. It doesn't have the same number of teeth as there are total clicks. So you can only go like +1 click or +3 clicks,
Huh.
like the return to zero. So it's
Yeah.
always like either 1 click off or
Which is annoying.
or one click high or 1 click low.
Oh God.
And for a $2,000, $1,800 scope,
Yeah, you think they're
are
getting their
you
stuff right?
kidding me? Are you actually kidding me, Trigico? Made in America? Are you kidding me? There's Chinese scopes for $50 that get that feature right.
My
Like, are you kidding me?
my Simmons got me out to 600 yards for in a Win Mag. Granted, it was blurry, $130. How far can a
Yeah.
piece of glass get you? But it got me there. It
Uh,
was within the capacities of the shooter for me to get that.
Mm,
You know, so it's like I learned a lot on that scope.
yeah.
So your first AR-15 build,
First build.
yeah.
So Trijicon 1 to 8 power, um, Loophole Mark AR, cantilever optic. I can't remember which upper I built it on. It wasn't anything super fancy, I will
Mhm.
say. But dude, I put a Rise armament, like,
Yeah, I love Rise Armament triggers.
oh no, handguard
Oh,
actually.
handguard.
Yeah, I put a Rise armament handguard on there, and the handguard's tilted a little bit because it's
Oh,
not
really?
perfectly straight.
That's funny.
This is the one that I put that Excalibur barrel on actually.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So I waited 11 months for this barrel. It was custom, full custom.
I hate waiting for
That
barrels.
was best. That was the best decision I think I've ever
Yeah.
made, ever building an AR-15. Was waiting that 11 months for that barrel. Um, Trigger, I think I put a LaRue MBT in it.
Mhm.
Um, I finished out an 80% receiver from
Okay.
Soda Arms. So there's some place up in Minnesota that makes a nice one piece monolithic lower.
Mhm.
Because I don't like the lowers that have like the spring whatever trigger guard. I like that extra piece of metal
Oh, yep,
for
yep, yep, yep.
one
I'm
piece in
tracking.
there. So it doesn't have as much
Yeah,
flex,
yeah.
essentially. They're a little bit more rigid in my opinion. Um, got that on there, and then I put a double star arm skeleton stock on there. I like a fixed stock, non-adjustable. It's my preference for like the kind of build that I do on the farm
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that was my first build, and then my next build's gonna be, man, I like the way like a 13.5 inch barrel looks, but I want a
You're giving
suppressor.
into the influencers
Yeah,
again.
no, have you ever had like held one?
No.
Have you ever held one and actually tried to like do room clearing or anything like that? A short barrel is extremely nice.
And see, that's the nice part about my next build, because my next build, I'm thinking I'm just doing a 16-inch AR for
Uh,
home defense
yeah.
and just doing, A2 bird cage, pretty standard, but like have a comfort, like creature feature in the back so it's comfortable.
Dude, I super lucked out. I got a White Sound Fossa, um, what's it called? Three prong flash hider.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, those
Flash
things
card.
are super rare. Apparently, they're like fairly popular. There's like a kind of like a cult following with them.
I'm looking for one for when I pull the trigger on my 300 blackout bolt gun,
Mhm.
but I want my flat three prong flash suppressor to be externally threaded for a suppressor.
Uh, my one complaint about it is it's not threaded on the
Oh yeah.
inside, so I have to
Hmm.
unthread it and put a suppressor mount on it. But that's another thing. My first suppressor was a Yankee Hill Machine 30 cal Phantom,
Hmm.
and that's what I shoot on my AR is
Yeah.
30 cal Phantom. So
So yeah, and my next build most likely will be a 16-inch AR-15 223.556 for just around the house stuff, clearing at 9 a.m. when I'm feeling like an operator,
uh,
or 9 p.m. I don't wake up that early.
when you really want
When I just feel
to,
like putting on the ballistic vest and just clearing the house for some drills and stuff. Because, like I said, I don't do competition. I don't do as much training as I should, but I don't think anyone does as much training as they should. And so I just like a bare bones, but also have it fit to me, something I can spray paint because that
uh,
gun is a stainless steel barrel with spiral fluting. I'm not spray painting it.
yeah.
So I'm getting something I can spray paint,
Mhm,
probably. And then something probably with a nice LPVO or a nice magnifier with a holographic or a red dot on it.
mhm,
Something like that. And just something comfortable. And I'm going from 18 to 20-inch barrels to 16-inch. So I'm going to
mhm.
feel like I have so much room clearing doorways and such because I've
Yeah,
cleared rooms with that thing before.
dude.
It sucks.
Uh, I've actually seen some ways. Your stock's a little short. Yeah, your stock's
you
adjustable, so.
you put it all the way in,
I've
dude.
seen ways where like people like choke up on the gun a
Oh,
little
I
bit,
hate
like
that.
put the stock up over their shoulder
Yeah,
kind of thing for
yeah.
longer guns. I've seen techniques like that been used, but I don't know. It's all.
Doesn't help I have a right on uh Reconquer 6 to 24 by 50 on top of it because that is a large scope.
You just gotta get one of those 45-degree RMRs, dude. That's what you ought to do. Or I guess a hollow sun.
I
Those
need
hollow suns are actually kind of
I
nice.
need two for my LR-308. That
Hmm.
one I'm okay with leaving a big scope on because I'll, like I said, I'll build a 16-inch that's
Yeah.
to my liking. But like The LR308 I built with a DMR aspect to it, so it's like, yeah, I have a primary arms 3 to 18 on that right now.
Mm,
Fantastic scope, by the way.
yeah.
And I think my next step on that is to do a 45 cant mount on that
Mm,
for an RMR or whatever,
yeah.
just for a little second option. But do you feel satisfied with this topic, Carson? Because I think, regardless of how far off the rails we went, I think we gave some people some pretty good ideas of why would you ever need an AR-15. They're great for home defense, great for training, they're great for learning.
Mm.
You've built a lot of AR-15s.
Oh yeah.
You've learned a lot of your knowledge based off of an AR-15 platform.
Uh,
A lot of my shooting has been learned off of, upgrading my AR-15 to where I can understand if I miss, it's because the shooter, not the gun.
mm,
There's a lot of that I feel like happens if a gun doesn't shoot well. People blame the gun when in reality, if it's a $2,000 AR, they should be blaming themselves a little bit more, to some degree.
mm,
But there's a lot of AR-15 applications out there. I don't think we're going to see it go anywhere. And if we do, I think there's going to be a lot more issues than there are solutions. So I don't
mm.
know. We'll figure it out. But either way, Carson, I appreciate you coming on your first episode.
Thank you.
It's been great to have you, and we'll have you back for more. Folks, if you're listening, feel free to drop a comment. Tell Carson how he did, because I can feel the anxiety and the nervousness across the table. It's okay. The first one's always the hardest.
Oh yeah.
And next episode will come out next week, and you'll probably see him again, hear from him again. Actually, I know you will, because we plan on having him on quite often. Also, be on the lookout for an episode with Dad. So Papa Buck's coming on, doing a couple episodes, and we'll have his episodes out at some point. So keep an eye out for that. You can also find us on uh, Spotify. That's what that's app is called. I don't use it, but we're on Spotify. I publish on Spotify. Well, I don't use it at all. We're also on Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube for those listening on Spotify. So feel free to follow us everywhere. Get updates. We're uploading shorts weekly now, both on Instagram and on YouTube, Spotify, or SOL, and Patreon. You have to be a member for those posts. So give it a look if you're interested. And in the meantime, we'll see you on the next Garage episode. See you later.